Welcome to your Colorado-Nebraska preview presented by PrizePicks. Ari Wasserman. All eyes will be on Lincoln, Nebraska on Saturday night. Coach Prime, Dylan Raiola, two teams that didn't make a bowl game last year that both think they're going to make one this year, think they're going to have huge seasons, and only one of these teams is coming out a winner.
Yeah, I honestly, this is already maybe to me the game of the year, just because, Colorado is inherently interesting television, no matter how you slice it and who they're playing. And then, of course, you have who I think is an emerging star in the sport and somebody who I think by the end of this year or next year could be, one of the faces of it. So, we've got defense, we got new offensive players. I mean, this game has something for everybody, and it's super exciting to know it's right around the corner.
I am so excited to see what happens here because we saw this game last year and Colorado housed Nebraska. Basically, Nebraska turned it over a bunch of times at the end of the first half, handed the game to Colorado. We think this is a better Nebraska team. We think Dylan Raiola, who you just mentioned, the freshman quarterback, is going to make a huge difference. Now, let's take a look at how PrizePicks projections are viewing this game because I think it's very informative. So, look, if you haven't heard PrizePicks yet, best daily fantasy game in America. Download that PrizePicks app. Use the code Staples. You play $5, you get $50 instantly, win or lose. If you use the code Staples, you pick squares. So you're picking at least 2 squares, playing against the number. It could be a player. In this case, we're doing football players. So it could be more or less than X number of receiving yards, more or less than X number of passing yards, more or less than X number of TDs. And you pick as few as 2. You can pick more. The more you pick, the better the potential payout. All right. Shedeur Sanders for Colorado. 310.5 passing yards, more or less here. And Ari, I think it kind of comes down to this. Like if Shedeur Sanders slices and dices Nebraska, because again, we saw against North Dakota State, I don't think Colorado can run the ball when they want to run the ball. They're going to have to throw it to win this game. Shedeur Sanders against North Dakota State threw for 445 yards. Colorado ran for 59 yards. They are playing a much better, more athletic defense here. If Shedeur Sanders does not go more than 310.5, Nebraska is winning this game. And perhaps even if he does, Nebraska wins. But the only way Colorado wins this game is a Shedeur Sanders more than 310.5. So you kind of have to say, like, if you think Colorado is going to win, you're on that more than.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because last year, Shedeur, I believe, threw for almost 400. I think it was 393 in the 36-14 win over Nebraska in Boulder. And that game didn't really feel like a blowout until the wheels fell off in the second half, and he still somehow got there. So I actually believe that he is going to throw for more because the majority of Colorado's offense, I think, especially in a game like this, is going to be through the air. And Shedeur Sanders, who, in the past I've questioned in terms of consistency, has proven to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football. So whether you think Shedeur Sanders is going to throw more than 310 yards will probably help you decide whether they win the game or not, I think is a fair point. I do think that it's possible that he throws more than 310 yards and they still end up losing, which is kind of the scenario that I'm envisioning.
Correct. That if they get behind and they're just chucking it, trying to get back, you can compile some yards there. That's why the one I find really intriguing, they got Travis Hunter 85.5, more than, less than, but Jimmy Horn at 67.5. Jimmy Horn led them in receiving against North Dakota State. Basically, North Dakota State was focusing so much attention on Travis Hunter, which still didn't work. He still caught 3 touchdown passes, but they were losing Jimmy Horn in coverage. If Nebraska focuses its attention on Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn probably goes more than 67.5 again. But, again, like you said, I don't know that it necessarily ends up in a Colorado win. For Nebraska to win, Dylan Raiola is at 245.5 pass yards. I don't necessarily think he has to do more than that. I think if they can run the ball and control the clock and maybe force some turnovers, they can still win this game. Nebraska is equipped to win a low-scoring game. Colorado is probably only equipped to win a high scoring game.
1,000%. I think that based on what we saw from Colorado in their opener, there probably is going to be some opportunity here for Nebraska to run the football and to control the clock a little bit. I do not think, 250 yards in college is a huge game. Like, most people don't get there that often. Like, it's not like the NFL where you want to throw 350, 400, or 250 is a really good game. He could throw 212 yards and have a very efficient 3-touchdown game that helps them
especially
win.
if their defense is playing well. That's the thing about Nebraska is we think their defense is probably the strength of their team. So my guess is the game plan for them, the ideal game plan for Matt Rule would be they're getting after Shedeur Sanders, they're sacking him, they're creating, good field position because they're getting Colorado into negative plays, and they have some fairly short fields to score on because they either got turnovers or they've gotten good field position. So yeah, I don't know that Nebraska is going to be compiling a ton of yards if they're playing in the way they want to play, if they're being efficient. So this is going to be a fun one, though. There's so many possibilities here because Colorado makes things so hard to predict. Like, we don't know how their line's going to hold up. They gave up tons of sacks last year, but it's a completely different offensive line this year. But Nebraska's talent on the D line, Ty Robinson, Nash Hutmacher, they are really good up front. So I can't wait to see it. Got elite skill guys at Colorado.
Can I interrupt you here, by the way?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I didn't get to say this.
Go.
Travis Hunter more than 85 yards to me is very, very tempting because I think we might be in the year where Travis Hunter does what we thought he was going to do last year. If he can stay healthy, it might just be like nobody is keeping Travis Hunter from getting to his number this year. It might be that kind of season for him. We did our Heisman poll after week 1. I think you and I both had Travis Hunter number 1. I think he's the most dynamic player in college football. And if Shedeur is going to get to his number, it's not going to be without Travis Hunter. So I just wanted to say that I like that number, and I think that it's possible. You say you never know what to expect from Colorado. Shedeur could get Travis Hunter to his number on the first drive for all we know. It's just to me,
Jimmy Horn, same thing.
Right. Jimmy Horn, the same thing, especially. I do like I actually think that the receiver numbers are more attractive than the quarterback numbers in this specific instance because those guys will probably get theirs no matter what, even if Shedeur doesn't have the type of game that they need him to have to win. Like the receiver ones are the ones that I locked in on the most here.
I cannot wait to see it Saturday night in Lincoln. It's going to be huge. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.